Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. What's going on, guys? No Thursday night AFL men's footy. The ladies have kicked this off for the season. And we'll take a look at the teams in a moment, but it's a weird feeling for me because, 2 weeks to go. We got nothing to play for. Good luck to you if you're in some serious finals or draft grand finals. I'll have a look at a couple of my leagues, but the main ticket items I wanted to take out just hasn't happened for me. So a bit disappointing, but SuperCoach Finals is going to be a thing too, which is kind of new, kind of interesting. Hope they do something slightly different in the makeup, give us a bit of a different challenge. I'd imagine it'd have to be given, teams are getting knocked out and having weeks off and stuff. But it should be interesting. My computer updated the other day and it's got everything's looking a bit different with the layout. It's rattled me slightly, but this is all we got really. What to do with Brodie Grundy and Zach Merrett. We'll take a look at the teams first and then tackle that. Grundy, from what I can gather, is just the 1 week with the head knock. It's going to hurt a few. People who have been disciplined and held the trades will be advantaged. There's no doubt about that. But let's take a look at the sides. A lot of people were discussing what you do with the VC and whether Rowan Marshall against the undermanned ruck department of Essendon is a good call, and it is, but then people were talking about this Dobson fella who they tell me is a ruckman. Big fella, 203 centimetres, a ruck. So you'd imagine that Marshall still gets a lot of time, but there was a time where they brought Max Heath in and gave him a bit of time, trialling a few things. So I think there's a risk. I think Nasai Wing and Miller is probably the safer play. Merrett will touch on. El Hooley comes back for a bit of cover. You never know when that could come in handy. Nothing too crazy there. This is the time where you could just get some random resting or an unexpected Sam Walsh back. That's interesting. I'm just hoping for nothing unexpected, even though we don't have anything to really play for. Rory Laird might hurt a small minority. It still would be nice to finish the season well and just give us something to celebrate. So it's looking relatively bruise-free at the moment, which we like. Even with Duggan being out, still couldn't get Tyrell Dewar back in the side. That's brutal. There you have it. I wonder if there's always a couple of rookies that debut late in the season and it just kills them. It makes them go from a 123 next year to like a 180 or a 190, 170. So hopefully there's not too many of those to really mess us around. But look, my general overall philosophy on Merrett and Grundy. Grundy looks like he's just the 1 week. Merrett, look, I would be surprised if he does play again this year. Or at least for us. Wouldn't shock me if they played him in that final game against the Suns, his 250th. It might be the only way they can get anyone there. But then again, I think that game's in Gold Coast. So, I don't know. You wouldn't think there'd be any real reason to bring him back in any sort of a rush. He'll miss the St Kilda game. Hopefully play in the final round. Undergone surgery Monday. We'll sideline him for the round 23. Optimistic he'll be able to return for round 24 against Carlton. Okay, all right. Yeah, right. So the final round, then they've got one more. So, look, maybe you hold on to him, but if you have the trades, I'd be looking at offloading him. I mean, I just feel like there's got to be a chance. Look, he's optimistic of returning in round 24. It's no guarantee, and I don't think you want to be holding a guy. Most of us would have prelims or grand finals, depending on your league structure. I don't think you want to be carrying him through. And if you have trades, this is why we hold him. I feel like a lot of the time the message is, hold off. You never know when you might need him. Well, this is when you need them. This is why we hold trades. So if you're lucky enough to still have them, I do not. So I'll be rolling these bad boys in there. We might be able to do a bit of emergency loophole potentially. Potentially might be able to do that. Get a bit of a look at Boxall, see what happens. Play Clay Hall if it's no good. In terms of replacements, Zach Merrett at 504. I spoke about a bit of this in the live, And there are a few. The main consideration I would say for you is if you've got a bit of cash left over, we'll take it from about 570. Some people might have cash left over. One thing I would think about is ownership. If you're trying to make up points, or if you feel like your side's very similar to your upcoming opponent, or if you're in the top 500 or top 1,000, you want to make up some points, you want to go someone with a bit of a lower ownership. Now, don't go with a guy who's clearly not as good just because he's more unique. I wouldn't go with that, but we can really hone in on the matchups. 2 rounds to go. It's a real specific trade-in, so look at the matchups. Make sure there's no clear tagging target, So I'm not going to go through every single one of these guys' upcoming opponents, but if you're happy with your side, you're happy where you're at, and you just want to go someone popular like a Jack Sinclair or a Caleb Sarong, go for your life. But if you feel like you've got to make up some points, go unique. Clearly, Zach Butters, great option. If you want to go unique, Tom Green, really like him. That's if you've got a bit of cash left over. Andy Brayshaw, super reliable, super consistent. But hey, if you want a guy with a pretty high ceiling, a bit more unique, 7% of time, sides, Ed Richards could be your guy. There are probably a few that if you've got a little bit of cash left over. I think Errol Goulden is half a shout. Again, you got Sarong, safe option, 38% of size. You're not going to lose much, not going to gain much. Very good option. Goulden, while he hasn't been in amazing form, he's got that capability to go big. Geelong won't tag. Don't know who they got in the last round, but he could go big, 7% of sides. Now, there's Zach Merrett. If you don't have the cash to go above and beyond him, who are we going to go? Rankin's a slight risk. He's very hot and cold. I think Ashcroft is consistent. McRae's consistent, but I haven't loved the slight change in moving him out of the centre bounce. So this is where you might really dive into the more specific roles and matchups that they have coming up. Pickett's always capable. Warner's always capable. Kennedy's rock solid and consistent. Luke Davies-Uniacke, dare I say it again, he's far from the worst option at that price. He really is. I know there's nothing sexy about it, but he actually is a pretty decent option for that price. So there are a few names I would consider. There's obviously, some dual position stuff you could swing around and everything like that. But in terms of Grundy, I would be saying to keep Grundy, hold on to him. Looks like it's just the 1 week, but he's super expensive. So if you do choose to trade him and you got heaps of cash, heaps of trades, whatever it is, and you're like, well, I may as well trade on him because I need to win this matchup this week, then you got options everywhere. Let's finish off with some vice captain and captain options. Not a long video today because let's face it, there's not stacks to talk about, but good luck for anything that you've got coming up that you're really keen to win. I hope you get the W in your matchups this weekend. Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller, great option. Luke Jackson could be worth a shout as well. Like I said, I think Noah Anderson, Matt Rowell, Tom Green, all got high ceilings and capable. They're the sort of guys I'd look at for a VC, sort of earlier in the week. And then I think you can just go really safe for your captain. Look, take a bit of a risk on your VC. Might be your best chance to get a bit of a point of difference or differentiate yourself from the rest. But then just go safe with a Gawn, maybe a Dacos, maybe a Cherry. Butters, I did say, but then someone rightly pointed out Cooper Lord doing some good tagging jobs. So, yeah, you could go like a Bont as well against the Eagles. Could definitely dominate as well. But, yeah, there are a few things to consider. I'd just be weighing up, do you want the obvious captain, the obvious trade-in, or do you need to go a bit more unique to make up some points? Because that's probably what you got to think about depending on your matchup or where you're ranked. But, yeah, have a good weekend, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.